And joining us now from New York via Skype is the former Colombian President, César Gaviria. Thanks so much for being with us on the programme. When you were president, you supported the tough war on drugs policy. Why do you think that policy should now be changed?
Well, that was a very different moment in Colombian policy. It was the worst wave of narco-terrorism the world has ever had. Thousands of Colombians, former presidential candidates, magistrates, policemen, members of the army were killed in that. But after so many years, Plan Colombia and the extraordinary efforts Colombia does today, we are very clear that this problem cannot be solved in the source, in the countries that plant coca leaf or in the countries that do trafficking. This problem has to be solved having an intelligent approach to the consumption of drugs. Unfortunately, this meeting has not addressed the experiences, the problems, the new approaches that many countries have tried through these years. It's very little. While they propose, there are no recommendations. They insist that the only important thing is to comply with the U.S. conventions that were done, most of them 50 years ago. They don't care about experience. They think in one size fits all. They still are in that naive purpose that Secretary Kerry talked about, that we are going to live in a world without drugs if we keep fighting, which is totally absurd and counterintuitive and against everything that has happened.
So how far do you think should the drug controls around the world, how far should they be relaxed? I mean, are we talking just here about cannabis and marijuana, or are we talking about the harder drugs such as heroin and cocaine? Should there be a more relaxed approach to them as well?
We only believe in state controls, and that's what we have learned through these years of war. Prohibition doesn't work. Prohibition takes to mafia, to violence, to make things available easily. The only drugs that are really controlled are those that are controlled by governments. And we expect all drugs to go to that regime. The prohibition doesn't have any use at all, and the conventions are based on that idea of prohibition. And that is the reason it failed, the reason the war on drugs failed, and the reason to keep going the same way today is totally wrong. I think countries should be leave to their right to start to look for new approaches, to look for health approaches, to look for social approaches, to look for to open the health systems to addicts, not to consider that any consumption of drugs is a crime and is damaging for society, because it's not true.
So we're talking there about a fundamental rethink on drugs policy around the world. But what do you expect in reality to come from the current drug summit in New York? Because there is not global agreement, is there?
No, the declaration just makes some references to treatment and prevention and health, but they are small. On the substance, what the declaration of all countries say is that we have to comply with the conventions. They don't care about any different approaches. They don't care about following a different path. They don't care about harm reduction in Europe. They don't care about the decisions of U.S. states or the decisions of Uruguay. They don't care about that. They only care about being the policeman of the world and forgetting about how many people are killed in Mexico or how many people are killed in Colombia or El Salvador or Honduras. They don't care about corruption and destroying of democratic systems. All that is, for them, they don't really care. They only care about something that was negotiated 50 years ago and is totally unrealistic and has nothing to do with the problems we have to face today. I think this meeting was a waste of time, was a waste and an opportunity to really have a different approach to look seriously at problems. And I am sorry governments were not able to push their points of view, to work hard in something that really moves to a different policy. Governments didn't do it. Not did the United States, not the Latin American countries. They are not pushing hard to really get a change. So they are going to hear all the time that they have to comply with the conventions, no matter how many people are killed. For example, there is no doubt that today there are more people killed by the policy than people killed by overdoses or by the drugs. A lot of more people are killed by the policies, by the wrong policies we have in place. It's time to change that.
Really good to get your thoughts. A very passionate view there. César Gaviria joining us there from New York. Thanks for your time. Thank you.